What's up guys? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different because I thought some of you might like to see a quick tour of my basic workshop setup that I've got here in the garage. Now, by no means is this the ultimate workshop or anything like that. I've seen some ridiculous designs online for setups that are much better than my humble little workshop, but it does the job for me and it works pretty well for the purpose I've designed it for. It's where I build pretty much everything for the canopy setup, as well as just bits and pieces for around the house as well. So starting with the space itself, when I was actually designing this house, I got this rear wall of the garage pushed back a couple of meters to allow room for this full-size workbench, as well as room to actually get in here and work, even when the range is parked in the garage. As for the fit out itself, let's start on the left with my tool chest and then work our way along from there. My toolbox of choice is this bad boy right here. It's a pretty common design and style, you see them everywhere. I've had a few different ones of the same style in the past and they've always worked pretty well for my needs. It's also a modular design as well, with this top section actually lifting away from the bottom section, like that. My bag of rags is gonna come along for the ride. And once you separate it, you're left with two fully functional separate toolboxes. And where that comes in handy is because this bottom section's on wheels, you can wheel it out to your car if you're servicing it, have the tools you need in the drawers, and you've also got a nice solid bench top up the top here. Now, I don't really want to get into brands too much because A, that'll open a can of worms, and B, I don't use these tools every day. I just tinker around on the weekends, so I'm probably not the best person to come to for that type of advice. But obviously, the tool chest is made by Stanley, as a lot of my tools are, and it works great for me. As for what I store in it, I use this top section for odd bits and pieces that I use regularly. Things like a box cutter, notepads, files, this weird right angle drill adapter, just bits and pieces like that. So we'll run through the rest of these drawers pretty quickly. Top drawer, basic socket set. Second drawer, miscellaneous electrical, so wire strippers, crimpers, lugs, heat shrink. Third drawer is miscellaneous drill bits and screwdrivers that don't fit into my other sets. Fourth drawer, my stick it together drawer, so sticky tapes, adhesives, and cable ties. And everyone knows if it can't be fixed with something in this drawer or a can of WD-40, then it wasn't meant to be fixed. Moving down, top drawer of the bottom unit is, well, it's a bit of a mess really, but this is where I keep all my automotive things and just general 12 volt, things like fuses, Anderson connectors, and battery clamps. And last drawer is basically the tools that I don't use that often, things like my impact screwdriver, staple gun, and stuff like that. So down the very bottom is a cabinet full of miscellaneous bits and pieces that I hardly ever use, but I don't necessarily want to throw out either. All right, the workbench. If you can only have one piece of workshop furniture, let it be a good, solid workbench. You can store your tools in a bucket if you have to, but you need somewhere nice and solid to work. So this particular bench is a beauty. I got it from Bunnings and I'll leave a link in the description down below to this particular one. And I basically chose it for two main reasons. The first was that it fits this space pretty much perfectly and it still gives me a decent amount of depth to have plenty of room to work. And the second is that it's ridiculously strong, so I can do virtually anything on it. Moving back, we've got a nice big pegboard, which in my opinion is the single most convenient way to store hand tools in your workshop. Everything's right in front of you, all within arm's reach, and when you grab a tool, you don't have to disturb anything around you. Unlike when you're rummaging through a drawer and you kind of move everything to get the tool you're after. And more importantly, leaves your bench nice and clear to work on. So this particular pegboard is made by the same company that makes the Workbench. Again, I'll leave all links in the description down below. It is a bit of an unusual size. Most pegboards start right down here where your workbench finishes and sometimes go a bit higher as well. The reason I chose this particular size was basically because I wanted to leave this area kind of between the bench and the bottom of that pegboard free for storing things like my socket set, my screwdriver set. It's also just convenient to be able to like hang bits and pieces down like that, clip magnets underneath. Just for me, I find it more convenient to live with on a daily basis. So moving left to right, this is what I store on my pegboard. Well, that's all the hand tools, but what about the power tools? Well, I'm sure a few of you have already spotted it, but up on the right-hand side here is my power tool cabinet. I absolutely love this thing. It's basically organization heaven. I can store all my drills on the bottom here with or without a battery. there's a nice big shelf up on top for my bigger tools. And behind this cabinet door, I've got power running inside to keep my batteries charged up, and also a bit of extra storage for some other tools as well. Well, all that's left are the bits and pieces I store under my workbench. So things like rubbish bin, metal container full of aerosols, container full of spare nuts and bolts, table saw, trolley jack, and a really nice seat. Anyway guys, that's my humble little workshop. Hopefully that run through has given you a couple of ideas if you're looking for inspiration for your own workshop. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. And everyone knows, if it can't be fixed with something in this drawer, or a can of WD-40, then it wasn't meant to be fixed. Hey Bianca. Did I tell you that I'm a big fan of cat tools? That's right.